If you're a bank in current year, you face a problem. You want to make as much money as possible, but you're also beholden to certain external pressures from moralizing NGOs and governments and the baying mob of online discourse and what is outlandishly described as public opinion. These external forces may cause problems for you. If you had high-profile customers that were politically controversial and or denounced by the current regime ideology, or if you had ties with certain nation-states or bad actors that occasionally operated in, let's say, moral grey areas, you might even see long-term issues on the horizon, such as customers and ties that are presently completely acceptable and cause no issues, but in a few years or even decades' time, in accordance with precedents being set down now, later become unacceptable. The mob then eyes your record and says, no, not only that, they'll look at your record and they'll say, look at this bank. They have ties to whoever. Let's boycott them. Let's attack their headquarters. Let's tear down statues of their founder, etc. You can imagine. If you're paying attention to current trends then, you may have cause for concern. Moral and ethical considerations have never traditionally been a factor, as your entire business is essentially the domain of highly cerebral sociopaths. But as you've seen, these busybodies have the power to embarrass you, harass you, attack you, and ultimately impact your bottom line, which is what is really important. What to do about the balance of these forces? How can you get those pesky moralists off your back but maintain maximum profits and rule no customer out? How can you keep the regime happy at the same time? What you need is deferred responsibility. What you need is an outside adjudicator regulating you so that you're no longer able to do anything about these customers. You could make a show of it, talk about the values of your bank and how much you completely agree with the thoughts and opinions of the current regime and its mob. But if there were, say, some government regulation acting on you, forcing you to deal equally with your customers, then, well, you're not to blame, are you? It's not your fault. How could you trigger such a fortuitous regulatory intervention? Well, you'll need to employ a small sleight of hand. Some 4D chess, big brain pro gamer moves that only the top level boffins could come up with. What you need is someone with a known track record of being both hated by the regime and its NGOs and its mob, but also universally popular outside of that. Someone that has a known track record of drumming up popular support and causing legislative changes from outside government. Someone with a strong media presence, with a voice loud enough to make it seem like an outrage. You need
a puppet, a proxy, a pawn.
Sure. Some jerk we can really push around.
Now, once the target is selected, you ring around the other banks, who will of course be completely on board with the plan. For the other banks, it's a win-win. You involve yourself in a controversy and take a possible short-term PR hit, but then they get the regulation that their forecasting and risk assessment departments have also been wanting, without having to do anything except subsequently refuse a customer that wasn't even banking with them in the first place anyway.
It could work.
It should work.
It would work.
It's working already.
Then it's showtime. You arbitrarily inform the patsy that you're kicking them out. Give no reason. Internally, you communicate that it's for political reasons. This will obviously all come out with a freedom of information request later, and that will help sell the lie, keep the mob sweet. You've gamed it all out. He then does his thing, drums up popular support, causes outrage, makes the freedom of information request. It shows that you did it for political reasons. Oh no, you were under pressure. The pawns fall into place. You're discovered. Shock horror, and now it's time to change the law. Incidentally, during this, the media is a huge help to you. Of course it is. You're all on the same side here. The nominally right-wing press can't wait to throw out some red meat to their customers. And what's this? Even the left-wing press are decrying your bank's actions. Even The Guardian. That's a bit surprising, isn't it? As others have noted. Very convenient indeed, in fact. Almost as though you planned it all out. Well, that settles it. Something must be done. Now, the government just so happens to be sympathetic to this idea. Fancy that. What a stroke of luck. Many of them bank with you, and many of your top people are friends with their top people. And well, it's remarkable what can be achieved with this spirit of goodwill and geniality, isn't it? Almost as though you think with one mind, almost as though you're on the same page from the start. Very, very convenient and useful to you indeed. You hold your hands up to the public. You say, we're terribly sorry about all this.
We're sorry.
To the baying mob of regime-led ideologues, you've tried your best and fought valiantly. To the wider public, you've stepped over a line, but you were forced. And now, you're agreeing to be regulated. No harm done. Also, they think they finally got a win out of it. Good to throw a beaten dog a bone once in a while, eh? To the regime itself, well, it's hard to look your family, friends, and indeed yourself in the mirror and hate what you see, isn't it? The regulations come in, you continue with renewed purpose, knowing that all sides are happy and you'll never need to be bothered by the disgusting peasants ever again. Now, does this seem fanciful to you? Does this seem like the kind of thing that's a bit too 4D chess for them? To me, it seems pretty par for the course. Create a manufactured problem where there wasn't one before to generate support and popularity for a solution that in actuality mainly benefits them. This is bread and butter regime stuff, or so I thought. This video is not meant at all as a rebuttal to or disputation of some of the white-pilled reactions on this topic. Laws preventing people from being debanked for regime-unfriendly views or activities are a win for us. And I'm very aware that not only am I jaded from the years of culture wars, but also, as you almost certainly know, I'm just starting out and trying to generate interesting takes, so I'm liable to be overly contrarian. My personal potential failings aside, I just get the feeling that this gains them something. The left-wing media was the key tell for me because, as AA mentioned in his video, they are typically the most disciplined and vehement adherents to the Schmittian friend-enemy distinction of anyone. And yet, sided with Farage. The Guardian siding with Farage, that was a red flag for me. Big red flag. Also, finally, Farage himself, who I'm painting as the unaware fool guy in this video, arguably deserves more respect than I'm giving him. And if anything I've said reflects reality in any way, I would attribute his role in this whole thing to his sense of principled decency that can't help but be preyed upon by the unscrupulous Machiavellian creatures that lurk beyond the realm of human dignity. That said, I'm in two minds about this. What are your thoughts on it? Am I too black-pilled, or are we being led up the garden path again, as I cynically suspect? To my band of new subscribers also, following my first video, I was amazed at your kind words. I had a smile on my face all week. Sincerely, welcome. And thank you once again for listening. I am the Corsair King. Sail on.